Hey, I have a secret for you. What if there is a runner's secret or a runner's strategy that could turbocharge your financial future and get you to financial independence faster? Okay, not exactly, but we can borrow a lot from this runner's secret and apply it to your financial journey. So, who am I? I am a financial advisor. I have been for over 13 years. I help people get to financial independence as quickly as possible. So, let's figure out how we get you to that finish line, which is financial independence, not death. Okay, so this weekend I was taking a walk as I usually do, and I was listening to one of my favorite podcasts. It is the Feel Better, Live More podcast with Dr. Rangan Chatterjee. It is an amazing podcast. If you have not listened to him, I would really suggest it. Even if you're not super interested in health, you can get a lot from this. He talks about mental health. He talks about other things, obviously physical health. He's a doctor. He's a general practitioner over there. I don't know if in England they call them general practitioners, but that's what he is for America. And he had a movement therapist on there named Helen Hall. And this is episode number 434 if you're interested in checking it out. And what they started off talking about was something I had never heard about. Now, maybe other runners, other fitness people out there have heard of this. This was brand new to me. They talked about the run walk strategy. Now, the whole episode was based off of that running doesn't hurt your knees. And I was very interested in that because there's some bad knees in my family. And I want to be able to run and walk and be able to be physically active without hurting my knees. And so they went through how actually your posture is part of that, and everything was very interesting. But they brought up this strategy that I had never heard of called a run walk strategy. And what it is that let's say you take every 5 minute segments of your run, you walk 3 minutes of it and you run 2 minutes of it, or you run 3 minutes of it and you walk 2 minutes of it. You run 4 minutes, you walk 1 minute, whatever the strategy is that works for you. But she says by intermittently putting in walking as you run, you actually get to your destination faster, with more energy, with less effort. And I was in the middle of a 7 mile walk. I tend to do a hike and I walk mainly because I'm worried about my knees. And I thought, I'm going to try this. So I think it was at mile 3.5. I was about halfway there. I started doing this. I started walking for a minute and running for 30 seconds, walking for a minute and running for 30 seconds. And I did get there faster. I was faster doing the walk run strategy than I was just running on my own. I'm a pretty slow runner anyhow, but I was faster with this walk run strategy. And I did feel good. Part of the reason I don't run also is I always just don't feel good afterwards. I run a long distance. I probably could run shorter distances, but I run a long distance when I do. And I just don't feel good the rest of the day. And I don't like feeling like that. And I felt fantastic the rest of the day after doing this. So when I started thinking about this run walk strategy, I started thinking about how we use strategies similar to this in financial planning. Now, it's funny because a lot of people wouldn't make that correlation, but she said something that really stuck out to me. She said that when people are doing marathons, people will do this run walk strategy that she talks to them about. She helps them do, and other runners don't realize that they're doing this strategy. So they're expecting them just to keep running, and the person in front of them is running and walking. So sometimes they had a lady who they talked about who did this strategy and did very well with it, had a notice or a note on her back saying, "We'll be walking intermittently," or something like that, watch out. So essentially, this was her strategy. And she did this all the way through her marathon, which I don't want to do marathon, but many people do like doing them. And there's this perception when people are walking in the marathon that they're giving up. And there's a long conversation that the two have, the Rangan Chatterjee and the lady Helen have about how there's this perception that if you're not running, if you're not panting, if you're not bent over in just horrible pain at the end of it, that you didn't try hard enough, that you weren't doing your best, you weren't exerting yourself to your full effort. And that's not the way you get things done, by rolling over, throwing up after, 26 and a half miles. The way you get things done is having a strategy. And of course, that made me go, bing, how does this work with financial planning? And this can actually work for that, because we think that we have to be just completely consistent, racing forward, being aggressive in investments, doing this, all this, doing everything really quickly. We have to do it at 22. And if we missed it at 22, we missed it altogether. That's not the way this works. I don't care if you're 22 watching this, 45, 65. You can implement some walk run strategies, slow, fast strategies in your financial planning that will get you there sooner. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, a lot of times when we're putting together portfolios, I notice that clients will want to put everything very aggressive because they think that they are making up time, making up lost time, making up time for time that they haven't been saving, other things like that. And that's not always the best strategy, because if that fast strategy isn't the right risk tolerance for them, isn't something emotionally that they can handle, when the market starts to slide down, they begin to panic and they want to pull out and completely put the brakes on. That might be your, throwing up in the middle of the marathon analogy, right? And that's not helpful, because you're losing a lot of time by sitting there panting and feeling horrible that you could be running still, right? So instead of doing that, maybe we have a strategy where some accounts are going fast and furious and some are doing a little less than that. Maybe they are more secure. Maybe they're in fixed income, which can be volatile just like everything else, but maybe they have a simpler strategy that is slow and steady and wins the race versus the fast and furious over here. Maybe we take that same strategy with savings. Maybe we start off slow and we start to build over time. And some months we decide that are going to be less. So maybe like June is an expensive month. Maybe the summer months are expensive months for you. You save less those months. It's okay. Maybe, August, September, October are months that you can really push your savings. So we can put these slow, fast strategies into place to get us there faster, so we don't get fatigued, so we don't feel like we're always behind. And by doing these fast, slow kind of ideas, we actually get there a lot faster and we have more fun doing it. I hate to say that, but we do. Nobody thinks financial planning is fun. It is fun, because when you get to financial independence and you can do what you want when you want, and nobody tells you what you can do or what you have to do, that's fun. So I think that's fun. I think a lot of people do. So let's talk about how this works in reality. So let's say I have a client, and you've heard me talk about this concept a lot, but let's say I have a client and she's behind in retirement. Okay. So instead of just deciding to push all of her investments into something that is very aggressive, she decides that she's going to keep her investments at a risk tolerance she feels comfortable with. Maybe it's moderate, maybe it's a little moderate aggressive. And she's going to take a look at her savings and try to push her savings rate instead. So she starts doing one thing and starting one habit, which is, I'm going to look at my accounts every single Friday. I'm going to look at my bank accounts. I'm going to look at my credit cards, and I'm going to observe my saving versus spending strategy. By doing that and being aware of what she's doing, she starts to accelerate her savings rate, because she starts seeing things that she doesn't want to spend money on anymore. And she makes the conscious choice to stop doing it. And by doing that, she's accelerating her savings rate by letting her investments be a little bit more of that walk pace rather than the run pace. By doing that, she is able to maybe get her emergency fund up much quicker than before. She's able to start putting her savings to work, maybe investing it someplace. Maybe she's actually able to push one of her accounts to be a little bit more aggressive if she wants to. It gives her tons of choices by having this slow versus fast strategy and making both of them work for you. So, in conclusion, start thinking about your plan with lots of different layers, and not every layer has to be going the exact same speed, fast. Some of them should be going slower, and some of them should be going faster, and some of them should be going extremely fast, 100 miles an hour. All right. And so, if we think of that, we can take this run walk strategy and apply it to our finances and get to that finish line of financial independence faster. So, with that in mind, I'd love to hear your experience of maybe when you started to do something slower and you accelerated it, or you did something slower, partnered it with something faster, and you were able to get there. Maybe some of you runners out there do the run walk strategy and it's found that it's really worked for you, or maybe you hate that strategy. I'd love to hear that too. So leave some comments below, and also reach out if you feel like we can help you build that run walk strategy for your financial planning. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope this gave you a little bit of insight on how you can take some strategies that maybe work for you in other parts of your life and help you push forward in your financial journey, and keep on running till you get to your financial independence.